everybody. Happy 4th of July week.
Yeah.
Welcome to Revival Town Podcast. I'm Chuck Tate. That's Andy King.
How you doing, mate?
I'm doing great, mate. How you doing?
Yeah, it's a big week.
It is a big week.
The day that this goes out is July 4th. It's actually July 4th. So what would you be typically doing on a July 4th, Chuck?
I would be throwing down a hot dog.
That's it?
Yeah, that's it.
That's the only way you celebrate your...
No. Usually we do fireworks, but, my wife, she's been been ill for 4 years.
Sure.
It's been a tough time for the family and all that. But what we've been doing the last couple of years is we'll grill out.
Yep.
And I'll have some other family over.
Yep.
But we stay home and instead of going to the fireworks, usually everybody goes to the fireworks. However, there's a new resort.
Oh.
That's right near our home.
Yeah.
And it's a lake resort, St. Cody Lakes. It's incredible. And they didn't do fireworks last year, but they did the previous year. I think they're bringing them back this year. But they do this fireworks show, and you can see them from our dining room.
Oh.
So we just sit in our house, or I could go upstairs and sit on the balcony.
Yeah.
And just it's a really, really good show.
Your house is pretty nice, mate. Right now, let's explain Tate's house, right? So, Tate's house was built when
1836.
1836.
Yep, it's been featured in a couple Hallmark movies.
Really?
No.
Oh, such a dog. But it was one of the original homes in that town, right? They literally built the town around it.
It's one of the oldest homes in the entire Peoria area.
Yeah.
But yes.
And it has this balcony. You go out of, is it the bedroom or something, and there's a balcony?
It's actually just in a hallway upstairs. There's a step
But tell
out.
the story about the balcony.
So
why it was there.
I'm trying to remember the answer to my own story. And you just caught me off guard. Wait a minute.
You told me the story that this road, right, went from Springfield all the way to Chicago in front of your house. And didn't this used to be like not a bar, but one of the... or am I making this all up? But wasn't
I'm trying to remember the story myself now. But no, it was one of the cross streets right outside our house. That's how you got to Chicago.
Yeah.
By horse and buggy.
Yeah.
And so it's been said that even Abraham Lincoln traveled.
Yeah.
Probably traveled on that road. So there is a lot of history. And I'm trying to remember if our house was I don't know if it was a saloon or not. But there's a newer addition on the back end of the house. But the main.
But what you told me, or it may have been Jason, who's
it was probably
history buff.
So we have a good friend who is a history buff, and he knows more about the house I live in than I do. But
he said it was like back in the day. It was like not a hotel, but some place where people could stay. So I guess that would be a hotel.
Yeah.
And way out, somehow they would ring a bell or something to alert you that people, not you personally, and that's what that balcony was for, to look out to see how far the...
Okay, that story came from him, so...
Okay.
Yeah.
It's probably not true, though. He's a liar.
That's why we haven't had him on. No, kidding. But no, there is a lot of history, and it's amazing. It's like a few weeks ago, I was doing a wedding vow renewal. Did it down at the end of my street. We have a nice river, area, and it's really beautiful.
Makes it sound like you live on a mansion.
No. But it's but I met a woman who was down there because there's a little bench area where you can sit and overlook the water, and it's really nice. And she lives in the town that I live in. It's just a small community, and we got talking. She used to live in my house. She grew up when she was a little girl. She lived in my house. So my house is so old. Now there is a newer back addition and a garage and things, but like in my son's room.
Sorry, I just looked at the camera and there I am itching my ear. Sorry. You've got to watch this on YouTube. It's way better than listening to it just audibly.
Yeah, I'm telling the story. And you're over there just scratching your ear like a dog. In my son's bedroom, he has this little doorway. You have to get on your hands and knees.
Yeah.
And it leads into this. It's like an enclosed. It used to be a stairwell, and that used to be because there are stairs in a bathroom downstairs that have been ceilinged off. There's a ceiling. You can't get up them anymore. Yeah. But those would lead into this little passageway in my son's room. And we were told it was the servant's quarters.
Wow.
And that was the servant of the home that we live in at his own entrance.
Wow. This is the longest intro we've
I know, this is crazy. So 4th of July, walking up on the balcony and watch the fireworks.
That's good.
And I'll ring the bell.
Oh, come on, ring the bell. But I tell you what, today's episode, you don't want to go anywhere. You're the biggest fan of The Chosen. Why don't you tell people?
All right, so our guest today is Lara Silva. She plays Eden, Simon Peter's wife, in The Chosen. And this is really special.
It's a great conversation.
Yeah, you're gonna love this. You're gonna love her.
Yeah.
So sit back, relax with your 4th of July hot dog and root beer, and listen to this conversation with Lara Silva.
This podcast is part of the Edify Podcast Network. Edify is a faith-inspiring app that brings together thousands of the best Christian podcasts in one place for your listening enjoyment. Cut through the noise and grow your faith by diving into the world's top Christian podcasts today. Download the Edify app for free from the App Store or Google Play, or by going to edify.app. That's EDIFI.app.
All right, everyone, it's time for another conversation on Revival Town Podcast. After making her on-screen debut in 2016, our guest today, Lara Silva, got her big break in 2019 when she was cast as Eden in the TV series The Chosen. And she's here right now. We can't wait to talk to her. Lara, welcome to Revival Town.
Thank you, guys. Hello. Thanks for having me.
Now, I just want to let you know, Chuck, and I'm a big fan as well, but Chuck is like the chosen groupie that you could ever imagine. Like when we had Dallas Jenkins on, like you could tell in the corner over there, we were in the same room as we record this, but he was like sweating, like because of getting these questions right. So just want to put that out there, right?
I'm the super fan.
That's amazing. Well, if it makes you feel any better, I'm also sweating.
That's great. Well, it's such an honor to have you on today. I mean, obviously, we're both big fans of The Chosen. A lot of our listeners are fans of The Chosen, and we hope to introduce The Chosen to some listeners who might not be familiar. But we also want to get to know you. Who is Lara Silva?
Who am I? Well, you guys, it's crazy who I am, right? Just like my story and how I'm even here, how I'm an actress, all the things that God has kind of, just laid out for my life. I was born in Brazil, and
now whereabouts in Brazil?
So I was born in Minas Gerais.
Okay.
So it's a state. It's actually I feel like it's about south or northwest of Rio de Janeiro. I guess that's probably one of the biggest cities in Minas Gerais, I think.
Sure.
My geography is not the greatest because I did move out of Brazil so young.
Yeah.
When I was about 6 years old, that's when my mom, I was 3. When I was 3 years old, my mom, she got a visa to come to the United States, hit with the American dream.
Sure.
And she landed in South Florida and just worked, anything that she could find to just make a living. She met who I consider now my father. He raised me. And then they got married. They had my brother, and then they were able to come back to get me from Brazil. I was with my grandma.
Oh, wow.
So then I moved to America when I was 6 years old, and then, grew up with my mom, my dad, my family, and my dad has 2 other daughters. And so we just did life together in South Florida, and then my parents ended up splitting up, and that was just really hard on all of us. And you know, it's crazy that like I feel like I can't tell my story, like how I got to be an actor, without sharing my testimony.
Sure.
And how that all kind of came together at the same time. Because growing up, you know, it wasn't always easy. And my mom, she grew up Catholic, but we didn't really go to church. I never like owned a Bible or anything. I didn't have like my own relationship with Jesus. I didn't know who he really was.
Right.
And there just came a time in my life where I graduated high school, and I went to college, and I wanted to be in the sciences. I wanted to be a nurse or a microbiologist. I loved the anatomies and all my labs. And but I realized that it just like wasn't quite for me. Something was off. And then I wasn't pursuing God. I didn't have, you know, that guidance in my life really, that I honestly made the abrupt decision to leave college.
Sure.
And then, you know, kind of just had to make a living and start working. So I was bartending and serving a lot. And I just kind of hit a low, really sad point in my life where I was like, what am I going to do? Like, what am I doing with my life? And then my roommate at the time asked me just like one of the most important questions was, what were you doing when you last felt truly happy? And I had to like think back. It was, you know, elementary school. I went to a performing arts school.
Wow.
And it was like just a time in my life where I was like, oh, this is amazing. I loved putting on plays and dances and performances and entertaining, and never thought about it again after, you know, moving on. And she was like, you would be great at it. Like, why don't you just go for it? You know, and those words of encouragement sometimes is all that we really need.
Yeah.
And that night I Googled acting classes near me. I was like 23, 24 years old. And, you know, here I am thinking like, oh, I'm too old to start this. Like, this is like, what am I thinking? You know, like, it's like the enemy was already attacking me before I'd even started. But I showed up to my first acting class, and I was like, this is it. Like, everything in me was just like on fire. I'm like, this is where I belong. And then it was around the same time I started going to church, and just like hearing from God, and realizing that like, this is a gift that he like gave me, that I was born with. And it's like, he didn't allow me to find it almost until like I found him. And
Sure.
Wow.
The doors just started opening from there, as I was pursuing God and figuring out who I was and in him, and just trusting him. And it's brought me full circle to a faith-based show.
Wow.
Like Chosen. So it was crazy.
So how excited were you when you got the call? I mean, obviously you didn't know then what it was going to be today, right? But was it, I mean, for somebody who, I mean, you moved from Brazil as a kid, and then grown up, so in Florida, right? Is that where you grew up? And then at some point you ended up in church and established a relationship with God. And that's where you felt like, oh, God, I don't just enjoy this. Maybe God called me to do this. He's gifted me to do this. And then I think I even read, didn't you even do like a Kentucky Fried Chicken commercial?
I think I did.
I told you he stalks people on the internet. So
that was my first like commercial booking that I got, and it was like almost like a training video too that I did for the employees for KFC, and that was really fun.
Wow. Well, if you look to the left out your window, I'm right there. Wait. Okay. Okay.
We love it.
So when you got the call, and obviously, did you have to go in and audition like for any role, or how did that happen?
So for me, I think my story is a little more unique with finding out about The Chosen and even getting the opportunity to audition for it, because like most actors, we hear about projects or auditions through our agents. And I had an agent at the time but it wasn't my agent who found out about The Chosen or who submitted me for it. So how I came to know about The Chosen was 3 years prior to me even knowing about The Chosen or auditioning for The Chosen. I met a woman named Taylor Kalupa, and we instantly became really good friends. She was filming in Atlanta, Georgia. She was filming in Tennessee, but was visiting in Atlanta. We had mutual friends. I was visiting Atlanta from Florida. I was doing like a casting workshop, and we just clicked right away. And we, remained friends, even though she lived in California, so she's there in LA. Taylor then started working at a casting office as an associate in LA. This was, again, 3 years later. So she's working at Beverly Holloway's casting office, which turns out to be the casting office that The Chosen is using to cast, The Chosen. So she, as an associate, she saw like the breakdown, and she saw the role of Mary Magdalene, and she thought of me, and she was just like, she's like, this is awesome. Like, take a look at it. If you want to audition for it, I think you should. And so she sent it through my agents, and then I auditioned for it. And like with most things, it's like you never know what's going to happen from it. And she didn't even let the casting director know that like she knew me. It was just sort of like, here it is.
Sure.
Do your best. Good luck, Yeah. And I sent it in, and the casting director, Beverly, she loved my take on it, and she sent it to Dallas. And then Dallas watched it, and he loved it. And he was like, I guess I didn't know at the time, but he was like, well, I don't quite see her as Mary Magdalene. Like, she's maybe a little young or hasn't like quite suffered enough. It's like how he worded it to play Mary Magdalene, or his version of like what he pictured. But his wife, Amanda, she saw my tape and was like, she should audition for Eden, Simon's wife. I think she would make a great Eden. And Amanda has like such a great vision, and she made such an impact on casting The Chosen. And so I then, a couple days or weeks later, I don't know, I sent in another like 12-page audition for Eden, and then didn't hear anything back. And then I got an email saying that Dallas wanted to do like a Skype just interview to get to know me. And so when we got on, he was just like, thank you so much for reading, for both roles. You did great. I'm not going to have you, read again, but I just kind of wanted to get to know you. And I was like, okay, cool. But still like gave me no indication of like if I booked it or not. And he was just like, oh, just wanted to meet you. It was great to have you read, and we'll talk soon. Great. I was like, all right, cool. As actors, just like, all right, you send it and you forget it, and hopefully, we'll see. But then I got the call that I had booked it, and it was just incredible. I didn't know at the time. I knew that it was special, but I didn't know just how life-changing it would be for the world, for myself, for our castmates, anybody that just is a part of it or watches it. And it's mind-blowing still.
How long is it from when you sent that in to your friend in LA to you getting the call from Dallas? How long was that? Because for me, I'm very impatient, so I'd be like calling every other week, like, hey.
The thing is, it's like we can't even call because most of the time you have to just send it and forget it, literally, because they don't tell you, they don't give you any feedback, really. They don't tell you if it was good or bad. They're just like, oh, well, if you don't hear anything, then you didn't get it. And it is what it is, and you just like on to the next. But it was about, I think, 2 months that had gone by between sending it in and then getting the call
and then from the call, how long was that for you to go and record, actually
start filming?
Start filming. I believe it was It wasn't long. It was probably a few weeks.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Yeah. Sometimes it'll give you a whole lot of time.
Yeah.
So before you got the call, obviously you did the reading, you submitted it, and as an actress, you're used to doing auditions, and sometimes you hear back, and sometimes you don't, and they go with you sometimes, and sometimes they don't. For this role, like when you read it, is it something that like you really wanted bad?
Yeah, it was, and like, for the most part, when as an actor, like when you read for auditions, like you always really want it, right? You want to book the job. You want to be able to like do what you love and go to set and film it. But even just reading the script, I was like, whoa, like a lot of faith-based things that you read or movies you watch or shows about Jesus aren't that great or that relatable. And I just remember reading and I was like, bawling my eyes out. It was Mary Magdalene's, all of her scenes really for the first like couple of episodes of season 1, and just that it humanizes who these people were, and then just showed the love of Jesus and like who he really is. That was so special. So of course I wanted it so bad. I was like, God, wouldn't this be a great story? Like, if I booked it, because then I could share that like I was a struggling actor and I didn't know you. And then I came to know you and I kept following my dreams and pursuing you. And then I booked a show. Like, wouldn't that be great? And then
he was like,
yeah, he heard me. Yeah. And then here I am.
and he also saw you.
Yes.
So,
that's great.
Man, that's
so you get to the set that first day. No one knows if this is going to even if 10 people are going to tune in, right? I mean, this is a leap of faith for you and for everyone that's involved. Yeah. What was the vibe like then? And then coming on to the second season where millions of people have watched it now, and now you're like, this is legit, because you didn't know. I mean, you knew that Dallas was legit. You knew that what they were trying to do was legit, but you didn't know if people were going to, because there's been 1,000,001 films about Jesus, and some are great, some are terrible. What was the difference between season 1 and 2, walking on that first day and then walking on in second season,
and then going into 3?
Yeah, and then going into 3, which is recorded now.
Yeah, it was, wow, what a journey. I think about the first day, right when I stepped on set. The cast and crew were incredible. Everyone was just so welcoming, so sweet, and you could feel something special about this set. And I was really, really nervous. This was like one of the biggest things that I had booked, where it was longer than like one line. I actually got to like, I didn't know what I was doing. I was like, I really needed to like just rely on God. Like, God, somehow I'm here, but like, I'm so nervous. I don't know what I'm really doing, and hope like the only thing I can do is really rely on you, that like all of the preparation and the work that I've been doing, will serve it justice and just give this story life and who Eden is. And then as I settled into the role, I just felt so at peace and just so excited for this show. But again, still didn't know like who would watch it or like what it would be. And then after the first 4 episodes were released, and it just started like, because we only had funding for the first 4, and it just started picking up, and people all around the world like wanted to watch more. And then getting to go back, because we split it up into season 1 was split up half and half, and then getting to go back and finish it out was like, wow, like we've got something. Let's pray that like we get funding for the rest of the seasons, because this is amazing. And then to see what God has done, and then how it's grown, and the people that are involved, like our crew and our people that are helping to make this show happen have grown. People have poured in their funds and their love and their prayers into the show. And then going into season 2, I was only in one episode, and it was the last episode of season 2 for Sermon on the Mount. And
I was so excited to see you, by the way, just so you know
that was amazing.
Yeah.
To see all of the fans that were there as extras, it was so overwhelming. It was just like, whoa, like we really felt like rock stars, honestly. Like they were so excited to see us, and we're like, who are we? We're like, we're just little actors, you know? But yeah, the love was just immense.
And there was even some top Christian musicians that came, right? Kerry Job was there, and Cody, and a bunch of others. What was that like? Because I mean, I think we forget, Chuck, that like for us watching The Chosen now, we've, and I don't want to use the word fan because that can go weird, right? But we become fans of the actors and actresses. Yeah. And then someone like Kerry Job shows up that we're all fan. You know, she's been to Peoria many times, and I've helped put on events here with her and Cody, and the most down to earth people. But when you're not that close, right? You're like, oh my gosh, like. But then you have to remember, but she is probably a fan of yours now.
Yeah, it was so strange. I didn't get to meet her. I wish I did, but I remember I knew that they were there. Yeah. And because while the concerts were going on, I'm not sure. I don't think that we were there on set. But yeah, it was really cool knowing that like they were there, and I'm a huge fan too of like the artists that were there, and sure. I wish I'd gotten to meet her. Oh gosh, yeah, it's so surreal to think that they're fans of us.
Yeah,
like little old us.
Well, can you take us through a typical day of shooting? What's it like? I'm sure that we have listeners that would love to know what goes on behind the scenes. Way back in the day, I was an extra in a movie called Riot with the late Carmen, who was a musician, right, a Christian artist, and it was shot in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I played a Chicago City police officer, and I'm on screen for like 3 seconds. But that scene, when people watch the movie, I was literally there all night long. It began at like 8:00 at night, and we went till 3 a.m. And it was one scene of putting a guy into an ambulance. Anyway, I won't go into it, but like, can you take us through what's it? It's got to be just so crazy.
Yes, it is. I think back to just like recently, because we're filming season 3 now, and the last thing I shot, we were actually, it was like Sermon on the Mount still, and you arrive pretty early, and usually you get your breakfast or whatever, then they call you up, you do your hair and makeup, and then you're sitting kind of waiting to be okay, they're ready for you on set. So then you get to set, and then you're just there all day for the most part, and it's long, but it's so cool. Like, I don't know how else to describe it. When you love what you do, it's like you're just having a great time.
Yeah, it's not work. You love it. You're called to do it, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah. And we just do the same scene, whatever it is that we're doing that day, over and over and over again, with different angles and different sides, and then different camera lenses, so that you get the whole picture of what's happening. And then when they cut and edit it all together, like, that's what you end up seeing. But it takes all day long.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, what has been, because there's been so many scenes with you in it and not in it, obviously, because you can't be in every scene, right? But what have been some of your favorite moments? What's your favorite moment as you've been filming, or even looking back and going, that was pretty special to be there when that happened?
Yeah. Honestly, what comes to mind is for season 2, filming the Sermon on the Mount and seeing the sea of beautiful people, like God's people that are there to support us, and they're bearing it. At the time it was really cold, so it's crazy how like this time around everybody was really, really hot and melting for season 3 Summer on the Mount. But meanwhile, like back in season 2, when we ended the episode, it was freezing cold, and everyone was there bearing it with us and just loving every minute of it, or possibly not because it was so cold. Sure. So that was incredible to be a part of. I was so happy to have been there. And then some of the scenes that come to mind for myself that's just so memorable was the scene at the wine press with Simon and I. This was in season 1. I believe it was episode 5. And it was about a 5.5-minute scene. And that's a long time, you know, of dialogue. And he's explaining to me about what happened the night before. And, you know, the spoiler alerts here, all, you know, obviously. Yeah.
One of my favorite scenes of season 1. That's one of my very favorite scenes out of all. He comes to explain what just happened, but like they had just had a fight the night before. So like as an actor, it's just a dream to be able to go through this emotional, beautiful roller coaster of a scene to tell the story of, you know, I'm upset with him because we didn't have we had a fight the night before, and then he comes home and he tells me about the miracle of the fish and what Jesus did and how now he's being called to follow him. And it's just like, whoa, you know, that was so amazing to get to do and be a part of it, and to help tell that story with Shahar, who is an incredible actor who plays Simon Peter. I feel like I didn't really have to do much except just like listen to him and be in that moment of like, wow, like this is what Jesus does. He calls us to do things that are just out there, but like we're just going to put our trust in him and pray that he's going to, you know, guide us through. And that was so cool to get to do that scene. Well, you killed it, by the way. You do such an excellent job. I can't imagine not having Eden. That's what I love about Dallas and the writers. They've done a good job of really displaying the human side of the story. We read these passages, and we know obviously by reading the Bible that Simon Peter, he was married, and that Jesus healed his mother-in-law. But I don't think before The Chosen many people thought about, hey, I wonder who Peter's wife was, right?
Right.
And I think that's what makes it so awesome. And that scene, it's emotional, and in the wine press, and people are just, you know, for me, it was, for everybody. I think that's why, one of the reasons why the show is so successful.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah,
would you say that scene or that episode is your favorite episode?
That for sure is one of my favorite scenes with Shahar. And then also just that powerful scene where, you know, I'm really upset with him and I'm telling him like, I need you to be the man that I married. Like you're not following God and the way that, you know, you should be. And, you know, we're in debt and like you're
fishing on Shabbat.
Yeah, exactly. That was a really powerful scene as well for me. And that was, I remember I think it was one of the last takes that we did, and it was on my coverage for that. And just the feeling that came over me after that scene, and it was I knew that it was the last take because we thought we had it the take before. Dallas like loved it. He's like, we got it. We're going to wrap. And I remember our director of photography, Akis, was like, I just need one more, you know? And then I was like, gosh, I don't know if I have another one in me. And I literally got on my knees and I was like, dear Lord, please help me here. And I just remember getting back up and just like delivering. And I couldn't have done that without honestly the prayer and like what came over me, and then giving that last line, and, you know, maybe God can get your attention now, no more talking, whatever it was. And then I remember like walking away, and there was like a pin, you could hear a pin drop, and I don't know who it was, but somebody was like, damn, like in the microphone, in the headphones, and then we all erupted. Yeah, it was like such an but it like broke that tension, that sadness of the emotional scene, and then we all just like laughed, and it was, we were done. And I remember like Dallas just like gave me such a big hug, and like for your director to feel proud of you, like it was like your dad feeling, when you're like your dad is so proud of you. Like when he hugged me, it was just like, yes, I did it.
Yeah, so good.
So, yeah.
So you're in the middle of season 3.
Yes.
And you mentioned the last season you had that one scene. Are you in more in season 3?
Yeah. A lot more to come, which I'm so excited about for everyone to see.
Sure.
Our story and what the writers have done with Simon and Eden's storyline for season 3. And it's not always easy. So that's all. That's all I can.
Snap! Yeah.
And just so people understand, so where you live, though, you don't live near it's in Texas where the studio is right now. You don't live near there, though, correct?
Oh, I live in Atlanta, Georgia. So I go back to film at the end of July. I have some dates in August and some dates in September as well for filming. So we still have a little ways to go to finish out.
Sorry, Chuck. It's not going to be a end of summer release.
I already read it's looking like the end of December, early January. Is that correct? When it's going to come out?
I believe so. I think that they're going to work really hard to edit at least 1 or 2 episodes. I'm not sure, to hopefully release by December, or hopefully the end of the year, maybe as a Christmas gift to us all.
Yes. Well, I know you mentioned Atlanta, and I know Andy is really excited to talk about what your husband does. All right, but before we get to that, one more question I have is, there's a scene where Jesus says he sees you, right? Mm-hmm. And all the things that are going on internally, right? It's a powerful scene from season 1. Obviously, Jonathan Rumi does such a good job for portraying Jesus, and it's probably easy to get into that role with him, just because has this, just being on the show, has it increased your faith? Has this impacted you in your relationship with Jesus?
Absolutely. It's even changed how I view my career. Before it was just so like, I wanted to do so well, and I wanted to book jobs, and I would audition and I wouldn't hear back, and I would just be a mess of like anxiousness. And after booking The Chosen, and then just really experiencing Jesus and our relationship, growing my relationship with Christ. And then honestly, it's such a strange thing, but like acting with Jonathan alongside him, and like how he portrays Jesus, it's like it connects like such a beautiful, like my acting world with my real world, and who Jesus really is. And it's such a beautiful like connection. And because for me, acting is such a spiritual journey. Like I can't do it without connecting spiritually and like really having Jesus like guide me through it all. So I'm just at peace, and like it's not always that way. Like I still struggle with, feeling like I'm, sometimes not praying enough, or sometimes I'm just caught up in my own worries and what my own way of doing things. And it's like, I'm still struggling with it, but, just being honest with myself and going back and grounding and really getting back into prayer and really connecting with Jesus is like, it's almost like working that spiritual muscle. It's like easier for me now to come to him versus like before, feeling like, oh, I'm not good enough, or I'm not, like all of these fears and anxieties, especially in the acting world. So
that's so good.
Now, how has it been? And we talked before we came on, and The Chosen. You can do it for a long time, obviously, as long as people are getting behind it, which people have got behind it, and then some. But what about other things coming down the pipeline as far as acting for yourself? Is there anything else happening?
Well, currently, I'm going to film in West Palm Beach, Florida. I leave the Sunday actually for a week, and I'll be filming a feature film that was written and is being directed and produced by two teachers that I met from the King's Academy, and as well as two students who have come up with this idea for a film. Yeah. And I met them last year when I went to speak to a few of the students at the King's Academy. And I met them, and it was I spoke to some of the film students, and they were so incredibly smart, like smarter than me, honestly, because I didn't go to like school for film. Like they could teach me, but it was so cool to get to know them. And then they came up with this movie, and I've seen some of their work too that they've done as students last year. And they asked me to be a part of it. And I was so flattered. I was like, of course, I would love to. And their script is incredible. It's such a fun, like, it's got a little bit of like mystery. It's got some funny, like comedic, awesome things in it too. And I'm excited to be a part of it with them.
That's cool.
So wow. I get to do that next week.
That's cool.
Well, we're excited for you.
Well, that's brilliant. Now, okay, we've got to get back to what your husband does.
I know you're excited.
Oh, come on. So for those who are listening, and we have people from all over the world listen to the show. We have a lot of people from the UK, obviously, because of connection and being from England. Football, real football, the football you kick with your foot.
Yes, the football.
Is a real big deal. And your husband is on staff at Atlanta United. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so proud of what he does. It's so exciting, and he's so good at it. He's so passionate about it. He's a coach for the 17s for the Atlanta United Academy, and so essentially they are really just building these boys up, and they're training them to either become pros and join our first team for Atlanta United, or maybe go off and join another team in the MLS, or sometimes even go abroad internationally and go play for somewhere in England or in Spain or wherever they end up, or just college. So they are so good, and so he's currently coaching the 17s now. They're really busy. They're constant. It's an important team. Sure. So they're always traveling and, playing in their what's it called? Gosh, I'm going blank.
Their league.
Their league. Playoffs and all those things are coming to an end of the season. That's what it is. Okay. So, they're busy. Yeah.
I just recently, we're about 2 hours from Chicago. So Chicago Fire, I've been to many of their games, and just a few.
One of our friends was the chaplain for the Chicago
That's right.
Fire.
Yeah, Dave Mudd. Yeah.
So anyway,
because this gentleman that he's been on the podcast before, he was the chaplain, and I remember getting pictures from him when LA Galaxy were there, and it was when Beckham was playing for the LA Galaxy. And I'm a crazy Beckham fan. Like, my son's middle name is Beckham. Too. Yeah, so I mean it's crazy. So, but just a few weeks ago, I was in LA. My boys live out in LA, working out there, and they took me to an LAFC game. And I don't think I've been now. It may be different in Atlanta. I have not been to an Atlanta game, but it was the craziest fans that I've ever seen, and in England they are crazy.
I was
right?
Gonna say,
they are crazy.
They're a lot more passionate.
Oh
sure.
Man, but
you were sending me videos. I couldn't even believe how crazy it was.
It was the closest.
I honestly texted Andy and said, I'll give you $100 if you take your shirt off and go jump over the rails and run on the field.
And honestly,
right. Revival Town podcast on your chest, but no.
They do that, yeah.
With the flags and everything.
Fun.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. Oh, and I'm sure Atlanta's like that.
Yes, it's so much fun. I mean, we have at least every game. Our supporters are incredible. At least 40,000, every game, sometimes more, show up. And our supporter section is amazing. You know, the drums and all the songs, and everybody's standing and chanting. And it's rare you see anyone sitting. So it's so fun.
Yeah.
So I love the culture now. Growing up, I'm Brazilian, but we never really went to soccer games, and I didn't know anything until I met my husband. So he always kind of made fun of me, until this day, where it's like, you're the only Brazilian I've met who really knows little about soccer. But like now I know more.
Yeah,
so.
That's good. That's good. Well, we had to get that in because I know.
Andy, so do you support then? Are you Manchester United fan? Are you Liverpool fan?
Manchester United.
Yay!
Yeah, see, there we go.
I love you even more.
And the reason, let me give a bit of background here, because all my English friends are going to literally stop following me. So I was originally from Coventry, which is in the middle of England, that area, okay? Coventry City was the football team closest to me. So supported them all my life. We won the FA Cup one year. It was amazing. But when I came to America 30 years ago, there was zero football from England on TV. Zero. The only time they would play it is the FA Cup, the one game a year. Then they started putting one game on a month, but every game was Manchester United. And so I was like, and it was the Beckham era and all the guys, that were winning everything. And I'm like, I just got to go United, because it's the only ones. They were the only ones I could watch. So, if Coventry ever come back into the Premier League, which they nearly did this year, I'm in a bit of a dilemma. You know what I'm saying? So,
you're going to be a little stuck.
Yeah. So, but I had to let that out because I know there's a lot of Brits that would be like throwing stones at me right now.
My brother-in-law is a Liverpool fan, so I have a brother-in-law. He's from Indonesia. He's Chinese from Indonesia. Huge soccer.
There's
guy.
Always one around.
Yeah, I know.
Right. George, who plays John, is a huge Liverpool fan. He's Australian, so it's funny. He met my husband recently when my husband came to set. And they got to talking, and they're fine, but it's funny. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, so you've got a busy year still with The Chosen, and then obviously we know there's going to be more seasons just because of the way people have done this. How does that work with you with work? Like, do they book you for the season? Is it for an extended period? Obviously you're doing this work that you mentioned in West Palm Beach, but you're able to obviously go and do other work as long as it doesn't collide? How does that work?
Absolutely, yeah. So with season 3, I'm contracted, obviously, as long as it doesn't interfere. So for instance, I have a few dates, in between filming that I am available. For instance, I'm home now for the month, so we don't go back to film until July. So this came up and the dates worked out where I'm able to go and do it. And then in between season 3 and 4, since we don't know when season 4 will start filming, again, as long as, I kind of let The Chosen know, like, hey, this came up. Are we really sure that these dates will work? And if so, obviously, yes, we can do other work, but The Chosen is, it's priority.
Yeah.
As it is. Yeah.
That's good.
Wow.
That's good.
Well, Lara, thank you so much for taking the time to come on. And I know that those listening have been inspired. And it's great to get some information. It's great to kind of hear the stuff that goes on.
Especially as you're the super fan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, of course. Thank you, guys. This has been fun.
Yeah.
Do you know all the cast? No.
I can introduce you. I know some people.
Oh, that'd be great,
man.
So,
well, I would like to pray, and it's great to hear your story, and it's awesome to see how God's hand was on you, even in Brazil. He knew that you would end up in the United States. Yeah. He put that passion in you to be an actor, and now you're fulfilling that calling, and it's impacting not just thousands of people, but millions of people. So number one, thank you for your obedience, and you do such an excellent job. And I know there are people listening that look up to you, and perhaps they now have a passion to act or do whatever. But I'm going to take a moment and pray and bring it all home. If that's okay.
Yes, thank you so much for that.
Yeah. Father, right now, we just thank you so much for Lara, the impact that she's had through The Chosen and the impact that she's had through other endeavors and life moments. We just thank you for what you've done in her and through her. Yeah. And we just lift up every person who's listening, who has dreams on the inside of them that they'd love to step out and fulfill. As they have heard Lara's story, they're inspired, and that expands their faith. So I just pray, Lord, that you will lead and you will direct. We thank you, Holy Spirit, for leading Lara. We thank you that you're going to lead, God, every single one of us who is listening today. And I just pray, Lord, that you will bless Lara and her husband and every project that she's going to work on. We just commit the rest of the shooting to you for season 3. We thank you for what you're going to do in forthcoming seasons, and we just ask you, God, right now to just move in every single heart of every person listening today. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Thank you. That was beautiful talk.
Well,
thank you.
What we want to do now is we want people to be able to connect with you. Obviously, social media and The Chosen. Just let folks know how they could get to know perhaps you more, or even The Chosen more, so that they can follow a little more.
Definitely. So Instagram, I tried to be pretty present on Instagram. And also The Chosen too. The Chosen is really, really good about connecting us, and sometimes we'll do lives together. And I'm gonna try to get better as well in being more present and like so that people can get to know me a little bit more too. I know some of the castmates have done lives where they do Q&As with everybody. So I will be doing that as well. My Instagram handle is at Lara_Silva, and that's LARASILVA. And I sometimes with DMs, honestly, they may get kind of lost in there just because there's a lot. But I definitely try to check them every now and then, and if something catches my eye, especially when people are so loving and they have like words of encouragement for me, or to say how much the show has impacted them, that means the world. And I may not always get to reply, but I do see them, and so I want to get better too at just like connecting live so that people can talk and get to know as well.
And even artwork. People do artwork and send it to you, right?
Yes, I've seen. Yes, I see things more often if I'm tagged in it because I'll get notifications. So for messages, sometimes I'll turn that off, just because sometimes too, just like for my mental health sake, because not everybody's very nice either. I do see things more on notifications. So if they tag me in something or comment on something that I have posted, I see those because I'll go actually in the comment section and read, and I'll like everyone's support and all of that. And sometimes I'll comment back and everything. So that's always fun.
Yeah. So listeners, Lara_Silva, right? Yes. Instagram. All right.
Now, we do something at the end of every show conversation called the Big Three. And so we are going to ask you 3 questions, rapid fire. Spontaneous.
Okay.
Chuck, I know you're the super fan. Do you want to start this one?
All right. What is one of your top 3 movies?
Top 3 movies, go. Okay, right now coming to mind is Twister. Love Twister.
Oh, yeah.
I love the Pirates of the Caribbeans, all of them.
I hope they do another one. Johnny, come on, you got to get back.
He's coming back. I just read.
They did?
They're bringing him back. They said now that the trial's over, Jack Sparrow's coming back.
That's incredible. Yeah. And honestly, just like the classic, like Titanic, I'm just such a like 90s, like love the romance and the drama, the long movies. Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
So are you going to end up on a Hallmark movie maybe?
I hope so. Hallmark, if you're out there listening, hire me.
Come on.
All right, yeah.
Because also, Chuck is the super fan of Hallmark Channel. I am not joking. He has got T-shirts and everything. I mean, he is...
I love Hallmark too.
That's great.
Okay, so my question for you is Atlanta.
Yeah.
If we're coming to visit you, we're not, right? Especially with Superfan over there. But where are you taking us to eat?
Oh my gosh, you've just hit a beautiful place in my heart. I love food. So my brother-in-law, he's a beverage director for one of the restaurant groups here in Atlanta. It's called the Porchetta Group, and it's Italian. And they've got like 4 restaurants right now. Grana is probably one of the places we'd probably take you with. If anybody's in Atlanta, go to Grana and order the meatball flights. It's like 5 or 6 different meatballs. Amazing. Obviously, they've got great Italian food, pizzas and pastas and traditional deliciousness. And then they've got some other Italian-inspired eclectic restaurants as well, like certain things that you would normally see on your typical, menu. So there's the White Bull, and then there's also Bastone. Those 3.
Yeah, I want to check this out.
Yeah.
And they're all different, like food, all different, like vibes, and yeah, it's cool. They're also opening like up if you're into oysters. They're opening one up with fresh shucked oysters. I don't know, it's crazy. They're taking over Atlanta. So
wow, that's good.
Any of those.
Wow,
that's good. Okay, last question.
All right, so my last question is going to be Chosen related. All right, I want to know who's the funniest cast member.
Oh my gosh, it's gotta be George or Noah. Like those 2. So George, who plays John, and then Noah James, who plays Andrew. Okay. I mean, they are so funny. Like even right before sometimes we're doing takes, they're just like chattering and making us laugh. And then they yell action and we're like,
yeah.
We have to try to like...
you find those Andrews are normally pretty funny. You know what I'm
saying? This is true indeed. Very true. Yeah, they're
yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on to Revival Town podcast today. This has been a blast. I know people are going to love hearing this, and you'll have to come back on perhaps when another season or 2 is in the can. You can come in and talk about that. That would be amazing.
Yeah, once you guys watch season 3, I'm sure you'll have lots of questions for me.
Right,
I can't wait.
Oh, you just made Chuck's day, I tell you.
Well, I was excited in the live stream when Dallas said that you were going to have a larger role in season 3 because, season 2, it was great to have you show up for a certain amount. But yeah, looking forward to it. Can't wait.
I'm excited too. It's nerve-wracking, but I'm just going to pray that God leads me through it because we're about to all be in for it. We're going for a ride.
Great. All right.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Go on, Chuck. Sorry.
Thank you for taking us for a ride today. We appreciate your time. Honored to have you on today, for real.
Of course. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
I thought we'd bring this in just because you're probably right now sitting outside in your little wade-in paddling pool.
Wade-in paddling pool.
with your hot dog in one hand and your Coke in the other. As in drink.
Root beer.
Yeah, root beer.
Yeah, it's 4th of July. But
are you a root beer type of guy?
I am. I like root beer.
Yeah. I used to get it in England at the McDonald's. That was the only place you could get it in England back then.
Really?
And it would taste like there was an English medication called Germaline. And it was like if you had an ache in your arm, you'd rub it in And whenever you
if you had an ache in your stomach, you drink it.
Well, when you tasted it, it had that type of smell. It was weird, but it was amazing.
Wow, cool.
So there you go.
Well, that was a great conversation. Thank you, Lara.
Oh, man.
She's awesome.
Yeah, she was at the end, even when we got off the main call and we were just talking, she was leaving some bits on the table about this next season. Oh man. You want to get and download that.
Download the Chosen. The Chosen.
The Chosen.
Download the Chosen. Now, hey, so check this out. So the season 1 is on the Rock Church mobile app.
Oh.
Because Subsplash, the company that produces church websites and mobile apps, has some kind of deal worked out with the Chosen or permission, and so it's available on anyone that has Subsplash on their app. So the Chosen season 1 is on Rock Church app. How cool is that?
That's cool. That's good, mate. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that was a great conversation, and this time of year, there's been some incredible movies come out.
Yeah. Maverick.
Oh man.
Right?
Maverick.
Top Gun.
As we're recording this, Jurassic Park.
Ooh.
Oh, that's where we're going tomorrow. Jurassic Park.
Are you really?
Yeah. My wife is the biggest Jurassic Park fan. Like, if I walk into the house, it's on. Like, she loves it. All the different ones.
If you walk into the house.
Yeah, like just say I've been out for the last, say I've been out or something like that. I'll walk in and she'll be watching it.
Oh, okay. I didn't know what you meant. You're just like
she loves it.
Yeah. Oh, she's the biggest fan. If I walk into the house, she starts cheering.
That's so stupid.
The king is home. No pun intended.
Well, and then I watched. Before the pandemic, we very rarely went to the cinema, right?
Yeah.
But I think we've been to see.
The cinema. I haven't heard it called that. Go to the cinema.
So we went to see Downton Abbey, the new Downton Abbey. Oh man, that was really good. And then we went to see Maverick, Top Gun.
I didn't see it yet.
You haven't seen it yet?
I haven't seen it. Well, you know what? By the time this airs, I will have seen it. But I just watched the original Top Gun like a week ago. I'm not joking. I laid in bed and I watched it on my phone.
What do you mean?
Netflix.
What do you mean?
The first time? For the first time.
What?
Yep. I don't know why. I don't know. I don't even know how that's possible.
Yeah.
Either that or I watched it and I didn't remember anything. But truthfully, I wear hearing aids now, and now I use subtitles on just about everything I watch. So I realize I missed out on so much, and I'm playing catch up. Yeah. So I'm ready to go see it.
You have got to go and see the new one.
But hey, Jurassic Park. I have a Jurassic Park story for you.
Okay.
So when I was a youth pastor in Ohio for about a year and a half, I worked part-time at a theater. It was a Broadway play type of theater called the Norwalk Theater. It was pretty famous, Norwalk, Ohio. But they also showed movies on the weekends.
Yeah.
And way back in the 90s, I made $10 an hour to show movies. I was the guy in the booth showing the movie. But it was everything's digital now.
Yeah.
Back then, do you remember when you would watch a movie and right before it would switch scenes, there would be like a splice in the film.
Yeah.
It would have that line, and then boom, it would be a new scene. So I would actually prepare the films. I would get it in a big tray, and I would have to cut it. I would have to splice it together.
Wow.
Put them together, and then you mark it. And nobody else can see the marks, but you have a trained eye. And these were old carbon projectors. So there were two projectors, one with different reels on it. I would have my foot on a pedal, and there was fire burning. I'm not even joking, like a carbon projector. And I would watch, if I took a bathroom break, I had to be very careful that it wasn't near the point where I was going to have to switch projectors. Otherwise, it would just go off the reel. So I would watch for these marks that I made in the film, like these dots. No one else could, would probably recognize it. And then as soon as I saw that dot, I would hit my foot on the pedal to switch from one projector to the next. It was crazy. But one of the films that I remember was Jurassic Park, the original.
The first one?
Yep, I saw it like a million times.
Yeah, my wife loves them all, and so I do as well, but she really gets into them. So yeah. So you know what's next though?
Tate and his mate.
If you are listening for the first time, this is where I throw a word or phrase from England or Great Britain that isn't used in America, and Chuck Tate has to try and get it.
I have to guess the meaning.
You have to try and guess the meaning. So this week, I'm going to put this into context, okay?
Okay.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Well, he's all mouth and no trousers. That Chuck Tate, he's all mouth and no trousers.
Oh, he's all mouth and no trousers. Oh, he's just talk, no action. I'm going to say that.
Oh,
I
you
did.
got it.
Really?
Yeah.
I haven't got one in a while.
Yeah, you got it.
Well,
all mouth,
all right.
no trousers.
No trousers. All right.
No action.
He's just talk.
Yeah,
all
just
right.
talk. So
Okay. Wait.
that's good. I made it pretty short there. You got it right.
And it's a holiday episode, so I finally got one.
That's good.
Yay me.
Yeah.
And yay Lada. We want to thank her again for being on today.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And we'll have her back on in a year or so once she's done the next season, so we can talk about it. But what an amazing time today, Chuck. Thank you for being on Revival Town Podcast.
Thank you, mate.
Love having you on. We'll keep you around.
Hey, thanks. Yeah, I love doing this. It's been fun.
Yeah. Okay.
Always a highlight.
Yeah. So make sure you're back next week.
Yes. Don't blow off your finger. It's 4th of July.
Oh yeah.
Be careful. Oh, we should have talked about fireworks stories. I got a couple of those too.
I thought you said don't pull up. Pull off your finger.
At this point, no one's even still listening.
Yeah, I know,
it's
I
just
know.
me and you talking.
I know. See you next week, everyone.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Revival Town Podcast. Make sure you're following us on social media and remember to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. For more information, head on over to revivaltownpodcast.com.